3, go.
Okay. All right, everybody ready?
Yes.
Today's share is a schis for Akiva Simcha Ben Fega, for Zivik cooking for Chav Basmim, Ahov Basmim, and Dovdar Ben Perel. Just a few thank yous again. Thank you for the beginning, the first, the second month, Shkar very much. Thank you, Moshe Newgarten, for sponsoring the tripod and helping out. And what? No, he didn't say anonymous. And Mazel Tov to the anonymous winner that won the rigged.
Nobody knows who it is.
The rigged. Yeah, watch. Yeah.
Everybody knows who it is.
The rigged, yeah.
It's obvious.
Everybody went straight to the end.
Don't blush.
Boom.
Don't blush.
One name in the awful.
That was it. Listen, at least it was done on camera. Nachamazel.
Next time we do it over here.
No problem.
Some people call it AI. Some people call it AI.
It is. By the way, I'm with you. When he won, I was gonna do another spin.
You're the one who pressed it. You with me. You're the one who
Yeah, I was gonna do another spin. Okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start from the beginning of the parak.
Now you're back to...
Wait, now we know who the winner is. I think you already spent it.
Ari, you're in the
And welcome to
Mr. Sharon.
Mr. Sharon. Welcome. Okay, shkach, Volvi. Guys, we're starting from the beginning of the parak. Hayashan Tachasamita. We're going to start and we're going to do the Chazara. The key of this whole learning seder is Chazara. Why? The more you do it, and eventually, hopefully now in Yom Tiv, you're going to be able to. Hopefully now in Yom Tiv, you can be able to open it up and learn it on your own and learn smooth. Higher. So everybody has to be quiet. Guys. Shh, let's go. I said already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
I know we have to tell them. Oh man. Okay, guys, from the beginning of the parak, let's go. So Hayashin Tachasamita, like we discussed, what's this talking about? What the Gemara is going to say, there's a Tana Kama that's going to say someone who sleeps underneath the bed in a sukkah is not Yotzei Mitzvah. Why? For a basic principle that the bed constitutes its own oil, its own place, and if you're within the bed, then sort of it's going to cancel out the sukkah that it's within. So what happens? The Tana Kama says someone who sleeps inside the sukkah is not Yotzei Mitzvah. And then we're going to have two stories. Rabbi Yehuda is going to say a story. Rabbi Shimon is going to say a story from Rabbi Gamliel. And it's going to say both sides of the coin. So here we go. Hayashim Tachasamita b'sukkah. Someone who sleeps underneath the bed in the sukkah. Lo yatzi yedei chavasai. He's not Yotzei Mitzvah. This is the Tana Kama. Now comes Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda. Noegim hayinu sheyinu shem tachasamita. We were noeg that we would sleep underneath the bed. B'fnei azkenim v'lo amru lanu davar. We would sleep in front of the elders and they wouldn't tell us anything, meaning that it was okay. That the Zakanim understood that it's fine and you're Yotzei Mitzvah. Amar Reb Shimon, so Reb Shimon comes and says, again, the opposite side. What? You don't hear it? Oh. Okay. He said, guys. So V'lei amru lanu davar. He didn't tell us anything. So Amar Reb Shimon, Ma'aseh b'Tevi avdei shel Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Shimon says a story of Tevi, the Eved of Rabbi Gamliel. That what? Shahaya Yashin Tachasamita, that he would sleep underneath the bed. V'amar lehen Rabbi Gamliel is Kanim. So Rabbi Gamliel goes and tells us Kanim. And like Rashi is going to say, he's telling it to them as a side note. He's not really saying it as teaching Torah. He's just talking. Rashi even says B'dichusa. He's like making a joke. Like, look at this. And we're going to learn from it the halacha. So he tells us Kanim, Re'isam Tevi Avdi Yishu Talmid Chacham. Did you see Tevi my Eved that he's a Talmid Chacham? And he knows that Avadim are part of the sukkah. So therefore, he slept underneath the bed. And we learned from this, that someone who's sleeping underneath the bed is not Yotzei Mitzvah. So again, quickly, the Mishnah says, two sides. Is the bed considered something that cuts off in its own oil or not? And now the Gemara is going to explain it and go into it. So the Gemara is going to start off with a very quick one-line question and answer, and then it's going to dive into Rabbi Yehuda's Shita. So the Gemara says like this, V'halek asara, but it doesn't have 10. Now at the beginning, many guys asked, what do you mean 10? What does 10 have to do? What does it have to do? So basically, a standard bed, right, doesn't have 10 tefachim beneath it. The average bed. So the Gemara is asking, there's not 10 tefachim, so why would we even have a havamina that it's its own oil? Why would it not be kosher? Why would it not be Yotzei Mitzvah? Why would it not be Yotzei Mitzvah? So comes the answer, Tirgum Shmuel b'mita asara. So Shmuel comes and says, very simple, we're talking about a case that it's 10. Simple question, simple answer. So now this part, Tanan, it starts off, Rabbi Huda said that we slept underneath the bed and the Zikanim didn't say anything. So now we want to understand, fine, if you're saying that you're Yotze the mitzvah, let's go through Shas, other places, and see where does he get this concept that an oil works and what it is. So that's what we're going into. So we're going to go into Ihalas, we're going to go into the story with the oxen that they're walking there. What's the whole purpose? To understand Rabbi Huda's Shita. Where does he get this? That it's okay. So, Tanan Hasam, we learned over there in Ihalas. Echad Chur Shecharu Mayim, whether one has a hole that was burrowed by water, meaning it was like dug in by water, or through like a mole or shratzim, or a corrosive agent, something that really can destroy and make a hole. Not really so much a hole, but sort of a gap, like it's that he has still the form on top. So too a pile of bricks. Also a pile of beams. That would be enough to be an oil on the tumah. Meaning, if you had a little piece of tumah, a kezayis of tumah on one side underneath it, anything underneath, even though it's just one tefach, would get the tumah's oil. Now, why did we bring this whole Mishnah? For one last part, this part. Rabbi Yehuda says, Kol oil she'inasu b'dei adam ein oil. So now we wanted to see someplace else where Rabbi Yehuda holds something. We found the Mishnah that Rabbi Yehuda clearly says, any oil that's not man-made is not an oil. Okay, so now we want to understand, that's how the Gemara works. So it takes the next step. Now we know what he says. Okay, why does he say it? My time in Rabbi Yehuda. What's the reason of Rabbi Yehuda? So we say, Yalef, oil mi Mishkan. So he learns oil from Mishkan. What is Gzeir Shava? And it says oil in two separate psukim. And we don't learn Gzeir Shava. Ksiv hacha zois hatar adam kiyom ba'oil. By us in the house, it's talking about someone who is nifter in an oil. So there's tumah in that oil. Ksiv hasam v'yifroish es oil ala Mishkan. That he spread the oil on the Mishkan. Who's he? It's talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. So Mala halam b'dei Adam, just like over there by the Mishkan, it was done by man. Moshe Rabbeinu did it. Afkan b'dei Adam. So too over here, it has to be done by a man. Can't just be non-man-made or come from its own. So now we're going to ask, okay, this is Rabbi Yehuda. Shana the Rabbanan who say that it doesn't work, where do they get it from? That it does not have to be man-made. V'Rabbanan, where do they get it from? Oil riba. Because it says the word oil a bunch of times, so it includes, Rashi says, that it includes something ha'asim me'elav. It's the top Rashi, it says at the end, the l'rabis af ha'asim me'elav. It comes on its own. So now we're going to ask a question even further. Really, does Rabbi Yehuda really hold this, that it has to be man-made? And then we're going to bring a whole case, and at the end we're going to say, you see, he doesn't hold it. So that's how it's going to flow. Does Rabbi Yehuda really hold that any oil that is not man-made is not considered an oil? Or Reminu, let me ask you a steer on it. There were courtyards that were constructed in Yerushalayim, Agabe Asela, on top of bedrock, which is super strong stone, ground, whatever. It's very thick, not, I think the word's permeable is like when it breaks, I don't know, whatever. But just not gappy. And you're going to see that they're going to make gaps. And underneath them they made gaps. So what? Basically the way Tumah works is if there's a body underneath, this story we're concerned about the Tumah, right? I don't know if you guys remember, we spoke about that what happened. There were Tzedukim. And Tzedukim would say that you can't, that they go according to Tersha B'Ksav. And they said that basically you can't, there's something called Harav Shemesh. Basically, if the sun didn't set, someone goes, Toivels, a Kohen, let's say, he goes to Toivel to do the Avodah. Now, he's called a Tvul Yom. He has to wait for the sun to set. If the sun doesn't set, then, according to Tzdukim, he's still Tameh. He would not be allowed to do Avodah. But we hold, and the Chacham hold, you would be allowed to. So what would they do? They would go to a Kohen who's about to do the Paraduma. They would have him hold a mouse, a rodent, a rat, a dead one. Right after he would hold it, he would go straight into the mikvah, come out and do the avodah, do the paraduma. So what happened? The Chacham were concerned, if we allow this to happen, people may be mezalzel in tumah. So they went super strict the opposite way. And that's what we have this case. To show that we're very chomer, we want to show that Tzedukim, what you're saying is wrong. So we're going to allow him to get Tameh and Toivel and do the Avodah. But we want to also show our generations that this is really, we're supposed to take it seriously. So we did this case to show how super serious we're going to do it. So once again, there were courtyards in Yerushalayim. Al Gabi Sel on top of bedrock. And underneath them there were gaps. Why? Because if there was a kaver, if there was a mace underneath it, what would happen is it would fly straight up. It's ritzutza, it jumps up. The only way it stops is if there's a gap in the oil. So they would make that. Everything okay? Yeah. And they would bring pregnant women there, and they would give birth to their children there. And they would raise their children there. Lapara, wife for the para aduma. And they would bring oxen, and on top of them they would put doors. And there would be children would sit on top of them. And they would have stone cups. Again, you see each and every detail, every step, more and more stringent. When they would come to the spring, they would go into the water, and they would fill up the cup, climb back up onto the animal, and head back. And go back. Rabbi Yossi says one more layer of protection of chumrah. From their place, they would be they would throw down a string, fill it up, because of kevar time. Moshe, where are we all? I just want to make sure that we don't go. Oh, perfect. So we have 15 minutes. V'tanya. So now we're going to bring a brisa, and this brisa is going to show Rabbi Yehuda saying that you don't need doors, which means that non-man-made is fine because the oxen will be fine. So V'tanya, we have a brisa. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, loy hoyu mivin dlases al shvarm. Rabbi Yehuda would say you did not bring the doors. The doors were not necessary, but what did we bring? The oxen. V'ha shvarm. The oil she'nas b'yadam. So what? So oxen are oil that are not man-made. Obviously, they made Hashem. It's Rabbanu Shalom made, not man-made. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, it should be a problem. And we see, even though that's the case, Rabbi Yehuda still says, that you would not bring the doors, only the oxen. So now, so when Rav Dimi would come from Eretz Yisrael, he came to Bavel, and he said, in the name of Rabbi Lazar, that Rabbi Yehuda was masking that if it was the size of a kamlei agrif, which is like a big fist size, it was even bigger, that would be enough. And that does not need to be man-made. Meaning man-made is only a tefach size. Anything really bigger does not need to be man-made and will be fine. And now we're going to try to bring a proof to this. Tanya, so we bring another proof to support this that Rabbi Eliezer says, right? Tanya Nami Hachi, thank you very much. Tanya Nami Hachi, Umayda Rabbi Yehuda B'shkifin U'B'Nikik Islam. Rabbi Yehuda's masking by sort of stones that blew off of a mountainside, U'B'Nikik Islam, or holes from the stones. If you look at the pictures in the back, it'll show like you see like a mountain with like a carve out, indent, but it still has an oil. And there he's masking. V'harei. So over there, what's the point that he's bringing? He's bringing a case that's not man-made, and Rabbi Yehuda's masking over there. So again, we're bringing support that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't always need it to be Asa b'dei Adam. Okay. V'harei does the become a gref. And so now we're going to ask a question. Okay, but a door, from the door that's on top of the ox to the ground, you have a couple of fist size. So what's the problem? Rabbi Yehuda says anything bigger than a fist size, or whatever super size, would be fine. So why is this not fine? So he said, and even so, even though it should be fine according to Rabbi Yehuda, he still states clearly, they did not bring doors, el shvarm, only oxen. So comes Abaye to explain. Abaye says, no, the way Rabbi Yehuda wasn't saying you don't bring, he was saying you don't have to bring. But if you brought, great. What?
15.
Okay, fine, so we'll do Rava and then we'll call it. Rava says, they wouldn't bring doors at all. Why? Because the children, their heads would wander. And the concern is, we put so much work into having this being the super machmir thing, that he may lean over and reach out. Via Tam, and he'll become Tame. The Kever times through Kever Hatahim. Okay, this is what we're going to get up to today. Tomorrow we're going to continue from here. And the Mitzvah Hashem, before Yom Tiv, we're going to get fully caught up. Rabbi say, have a wonderful night.